So now we come to stanza 111 of 9th chapter of Bodhicharyavatara. So now we come to the stage where we try to establish the view of emptiness and to give evidence that things truly exist. Those views who say that things truly exist is not true. It doesn't stand the fact or the reasoning. So first, those who say that both are true are hard-pressed to maintain their case. So those people, basically ordinary people, actually here mainly the ordinary people like us, and also some philosophical schools who said that the consciousness and the things that the consciousness perceives, the perceiver consciousness and what is perceived, all the phenomena are both truly existing. They are true. If they say that, are hard-pressed to maintain this case, it will be not easy to maintain or to with good reasoning or good logic, or if you genuinely look into the nature of things, it's very difficult to maintain this view. If consciousness reveals the truth of things, if you say that all these phenomena, things, do truly exist because the consciousness perceives them, our consciousness perceives them. We see them, we know them, we feel them, so therefore they truly exist. And because they truly exist, therefore we also know that the consciousness that sees or knows or feels all these phenomena also truly exists, because if that didn't exist, then we wouldn't be able to perceive those things. And so therefore we can prove that all these things, both the consciousness and the object of our consciousness, all the phenomena, do truly exist. So now the Buddhists or the Madhyamika people ask, or Shantideva asks, on what grounds in its turn does consciousness exist? Now you say that because the consciousness is aware or can perceive all these phenomena, so therefore, these things exist. And because it is seen or it is understood that things exist, therefore the consciousness exists. But, okay, if you say that things exist because we can find out, we can know this thing is there, because it's growing, it's existing, it has it we that we can whatever they did exist. But how can you prove that consciousness exists? Because the things, because the consciousness or because we perceive those things, or all these things exist, that is based on our perception that somebody else sees them. I see that this is I see the form, I hear the sound of this kind of things. But that doesn't prove that consciousness exists on its own. Because, and also the consciousness sees them, does not prove that they truly exist. Because, consciousness can be seeing something illusory, like in a dream, the consciousness sees lots of things, but they don't exist. So that means, just because the consciousness sees things, it doesn't prove that they truly exist. And because there is this, awareness or the consciousness, that cannot prove that consciousness is something truly real and truly existing on its own. They are interdependent. They are interdependent. Because if knowledge objects show that consciousness exists, now if knowledge objects show that consciousness exists, just because the consciousness sees something, therefore the consciousness must exist on its own. But how do you know that what conscious sees is truly existing? So therefore, how can you prove by that consciousness is truly existing? Because the object of that consciousness didn't exist all the time, like in a dream or in the illusion. The consciousness sees it, but that didn't prove that those were truly existing. They didn't truly exist. There are many examples that the consciousness sees, but it is not truly there. So therefore, you cannot say that because there is this illusory or whatever objects of the consciousness is experienced. Therefore, the consciousness itself has to be truly existing, because these are interdependent. These are interdependent. There is consciousness. There, consciousness comes, or consciousness arises because of many different causes and conditions. It's an interdependent thing. It's not based on one thing. It appears, it disappears. It's impermanent. It's not one thing. It's not independent thing. It's it's a dependent dependently arising thing. Therefore, it's not truly arising also. And there's no way you can find where the consciousness resides or remains. So therefore, the relationship with the consciousness and object of consciousness is very dependent. If you cannot truly exist, you can truly prove that one thing truly exists or truly, real, you cannot prove that the other one is also truly real. So therefore, if knowledge of the show that consciousness exists, what is it that shows that they really exist? They cannot, they don't need to be. If both subsist through mutual dependence, because they are mutual dependent, there's a mutual dependent. And if there is a mutual dependent, then, it's an interdependent thing. Interdependent thing means it doesn't truly exist, as we discussed before, like for instance, some people say that it's like the father and the son. The father is there, therefore the son is there. Son is there, therefore the father is there. But, in order to have father, you have to prove that son is there, If you cannot truly know that this is the son, then the father cannot be, because, father, the concept of father, the father is based on the existence of a son. So if the son is not there, or is not proved to be his son, then you cannot have a father. And so is the case with the son. You cannot say it's a son unless you find, that there is a father, or this is the real father of that son, So it is very interdependent. It's truly, So therefore, it's just, dependent, relative. It's a relative thing. So therefore, everything that is there in the whole universe, whether it's a consciousness, whether it's all the phenomena which are the object of our consciousness, are all relatively there, relative truth. It's not, ultimately true. It's not truly there. Because when you say it's relatively true, that means it doesn't have an absolute truth. It doesn't exist, as we think it does exist, because it's not, everything is made of many causes, many conditions, totally, relatively there, not truly, you know. If without a son, when a man cannot be father, whence indeed will such a son arise? There is no father in the absence of a son. Just so the mind and object have no true existence. You know, mind is also is a relative term. It's relatively there. It's interdependently there, because when all the causes and conditions come together, then the consciousness arises. And all the objects, all the phenomena are also like that. You know, it's not one, it's not permanent, it's not, it's many parts, many causes, many conditions, and they're only existing in a relative way. So therefore, you cannot say that they all truly exist on their own. So this is from 113. So 11, 12, 13. I think we stop here, so I'll read out the Tibetan. Kongutan dan dini den tenye shanta ne parka kalte hiyon li tuntup hiyu nyilna tenchi kalte hija li shi tup hija yola tenchi tete panchun ongi yu niga yunna me pancha kalte pame pamana panye kongli shungayi pame pana pame pa teke tenyi me panyits. So we went up to that 113. Thank you.